Hi, my name is Shane Tyner. I fight out of Greenville, South Carolina with Alliance Jiu-Jitsu, managed by Southern MMA Management. I've been fighting all my life, really. There's no really set number of years. I've always been the smaller guy. I've always got picked on and pushed around in school. I started wrestling. I come from an abusive family, so I started wrestling and then eventually got into boxing once I got out of high school, and trained jiu-jitsu and kickboxing and Muay Thai later on in my career. When I got out of high school, I had kids, so I took a little break for a while, and I started getting into boxing, doing tough man competitions. I found a local gym. I started getting into jiu-jitsu and the grappling aspect of it. After boxing, I started my amateur career, and I fought amateur for about 3 years. And I made my pro debut in November of 2010. So I've been fighting a year and a half professional. At the start of my career, I was basically a wrestler and a boxer. I wasn't as well-rounded as I am now, which, you need that to be able to keep up with the other fighters out there. So just about all of my amateur career, I relied on my boxing and my wrestling. And then later on, I started getting into jiu-jitsu. And I'm known for my submission defense, as far as not getting caught in something and being able to continue to fight. When I first started fighting, I was not as strict on my nutrition as I am now. I was fighting at heavier weight classes, and my metabolism's so high. I burn up everything. It's hard to keep my weight up, and especially when I was fighting at 45. I was fighting 145 and weighing at 136. And I'm the type of person I can go all day full blast and only eat one good meal a day. And I learned over time, that's a habit you have to break. You have to get so many calories a day to keep your weight up. If I don't eat right, my weight will drop below 130, so I have to try to change how I eat. I eat more times a day. I just don't eat as much, and I take supplements I need to keep my energy up and keep my protein intake up. So my workout schedule is pretty much every chance I get. If I get a chance to get in the gym, I'm there. Unless I get injured or something like that, I'll take a little break. But I always want to be fight ready. So if my manager calls me and says, "Hey, can you fight this weekend?" I'm ready to fight. I don't want to miss out on any opportunities. So any chance, if the gym's open, I'm there. If it's not open, I'm running, or lifting weights. I'm always doing something. It's a lifestyle. It's not just in between, it's not just when I got to fight, I'm going to train. It's an everyday thing. I would train 7 days a week if I could, but like I said, it's a lifestyle. It's something you have to be dedicated to and devote a lot of time to keep up. Usually my training schedule, I'll get up as early as possible. I like to run early in the mornings before the sun comes up, and that's the first thing I'm doing is running. I work on my cardio in the mornings. On Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I do strength and conditioning. Tuesdays and Thursdays, I work CrossFit. Then I have MMA classes that are, between different gyms. That's balanced out, and jiu-jitsu just about every day. You cannot get enough of jiu-jitsu. And stand-up, I have to jump around, train with different people. But every day, pretty much, I work my stand-up too. So every day, about 3 times a day, I'm training. And I usually take Sunday off. Well, as an amateur, it was sort of hard to find fights in my weight class. I was walking around about 133, 132, and at the time there weren't any flyweight fights. There were no flyweights, really. They were really hard to come by. And at the time I was just trying to get the experience, any fight I could get. I was hungry, and I would take the fight. You know, if it was 35 or 45, I didn't care. I just needed the experience, and you know, I always knew I should be at 125, but the opportunity weren't there, and you know, it sort of hurt me in my career. Guys were cutting down at 45. Guys were cutting down from 170, 165, you know, 160, and then guys that are fighting at 35 are walking around at 150. So, you know, there's a strength advantage there, a weight advantage, and it hurt me really. But now that I can find fights at 125, you know, it gives me that advantage. You know, I'm stronger than a lot of guys, and I'm cutting weight now. You know, I really didn't cut weight before I started fighting at 25. But that's where I'm strong at. That's where I should have been the whole time. You know, every fighter wants to fight in the UFC, but you know, it really doesn't matter. If I get to the UFC, that would be great. You know, it's a lot of exposure, it's a lot more money. You know, but my main thing is, you know, I'm a single dad. I want to give my kids the best that I can. You know, and I've missed out on a lot of opportunities in life, and this is something that's really going good for me. I'd like to fight once a month if possibly, you know, if at all possible. You know, depending on my health, if I'm in good health, I'd love to fight once a month. You know, I want to fight, I want to go outside the country, you know, I want to fight the best fighters in the world, you know, not necessarily in the UFC, just to make a name. I want to be known, I want to make a career out of it, I want to provide for my family. I'm 27 years old now. I'd love to fight till mid-40s, to be honest with you. I'd love to get a good 20 years of fighting in. Whenever I've reached the end of my career, you know, I'd love to not necessarily open up my own gym, but if I can help other fighters to get where they want to go, you know, I love to teach. I have taught a little bit, and you know, just to help other fighters. I'm not one to try to take a piece of knowledge and take it to the grave. You know, anything I know, if somebody wants to work with me, I'll share that knowledge. You know, it's only going to help them and help me too. So, well, I have a lot of fighters I admire, really. There's probably one in every weight class. In my weight class would have to be Ian McCall. You know, he's #1 flyweight in the world, and an awesome fighter. I love his style. But I have, you know, I admire fighters on amateur levels too, like J.J. Brantley, and up-and-coming fighters, you know, Kevin Ferrant, Mike Allel. You know, all these guys are really good fighters, and I admire them for the time that they put in, and I admire them for doing what they do. It takes a special kind of person to step into the cage and give it their all and risk the wear and tear on their body. So my fight with Kenneth Crowder was an awesome fight, in my opinion. You know, I lost the fight, but you know, I think I gave it my all. You know, he was a better wrestler than me. You know, and he used his game plan. I mean, he followed through on his game plan, and he won the fight. And you know, I take more from my losses than I do my wins, and I learned a lot from that fight, and it's only going to make me a better fighter. You know, it's got me a lot of exposure on the internet. You know, a lot more people know my name now, so it's a good thing. I got a lot of good out of the fight. During the fight with Kenneth Crowder, I lost a piece of my ear. You know, it was at the time of the fight, I had at that point I had a couple surgeries on the ear. It was cauliflower pretty bad from my amateur career and training all the time, and you know, so it was pretty messed up before the fight. He landed a good elbow and it popped it right off. You know, it really hasn't given me any problems. You know, at the time, I didn't even know that it had happened. You know, I guess from my adrenaline pumping, you know, I could feel like a burning sensation from the side of my head, but I didn't even know I was cut. We kept on fighting. I seen some blood. At that point, I knew something was going on, and Dale Fry, the referee, had stopped it about that time. The doctor come in, you know, said everything was good to go. You know, it wasn't restricting my vision or causing me breathing problems or anything like that. And I didn't want the fight to be stopped for something like that. I was there to fight. I was there to finish the fight, whether win or lose. And that's my career. This is what I do. It wasn't. I'm not going to go in the cage and get a little scratch and say, oh, I can't fight no more. It's not like that. That's not the name of the game. But it hasn't caused me any problems, really. The next morning, it was really sore. But after that, it healed up quick. I take good care of myself. I eat right. 2 weeks, it was healed up. I'm ready to go. I was back in the gym, getting ready for this next fight. I'm very, very grateful for all the backing I've got. People that are standing behind me, my sponsors, the gyms. I want to thank Alliance Jiu-Jitsu, Anytime Fitness out of Greenville, South Carolina, Conflict Fighting, Cage Side MMA, Hero Tattoo, and Masters Car Stereo. They've all been really good to me and have taken care of me and are backing me in my career.